Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear review. Today we're looking at the Sugess M199, a dress watch chronograph that is just phenomenal looking. I love the looks of this chronograph. It has the ST1903 movement because it has a date complication. It also has a lunar cycle complication as well on here, not to mention the chronograph. So it has, I think, just some really cool things about it that I really appreciate. The design of the dial, the handset. The handset on this one is, I noticed it right away, and it was something that I really appreciate because the chronograph second hand doesn't get in the way of the hour hand, the minute hand, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things about this watch that I really like. We're going to get into the 5 things we typically talk about: size, fitment, finish, accuracy, and then legibility and lume. In this case, there's no lume, so we'll talk about legibility. So let's start off with size. The watch is a little bit chunky. It is, a 40 millimeter case. It's 12 millimeters tall, has a sapphire crystal with just a little bit of a domed crystal to it. And then it's a 20 millimeter, or is it 22? Yeah, it's a 20 millimeter between the lug measurements. So your strap changes are going to be really nice. I changed the straps out right away. They came with a butterfly clasp. I can't stand butterfly clasps. I was pretty sure that I was going to change the strap anyway, just because of that reason. So I'd already picked out a nice dark brown leather with some cream stitching on there, which really goes well with the dial. The stitching kind of matches the dial color itself. So the overall fitment of this watch, it's the typical fitment you're going to get. I mean, you can adjust the butterfly clasp to get the fitment that you want, just like any other pin and buckle strap. So it's not an issue. I just can't stand butterfly clasps. So I went to a pin and buckle system, and this is I can't remember where I got this. I think this is an Amazon strap, just kind of a common everyday strap, nothing really special, genuine leather. So overall fitment of this watch is great. The proportions of this watch are a little, ST1901, ST1903 movements. They're a little bit chunky, so that's something just to keep in mind. They're a little bit tall, but it's a dress watch, so the idea of where you're wearing this anyway fits with, you're not really banging this thing around anyway. This is kind of more that formal occasion, office work type thing, maybe casual, but this is really lending itself more on that side of the spectrum when it comes to circumstances that you'd wear it. Now, what about the finish? The finish of this watch is outstanding. Let's start with the dial, because that's really where the magic is, in my opinion. Just the texturing that you have on the dial is unbelievable. There's this sunburst wave pattern that goes between the subdials that are there. You have the date complication at 12 o'clock. You have a 30-minute counter at the 3 o'clock. The phases of the moon subdial at 6 o'clock. And then you have your regular running second hand at the 9 o'clock position. So this watch has a lot of things going for it. I think the dials, I think the texture in the center part of the dial is great. You have Roman numerals for the hour markers around the outside. You have a minute track beyond that. It's kind of a railroad type minute track, so it kind of has that kind of early 20th century feel to it. And then, of course, the color. I love the color. It's this kind of gold champagne color. I have another watch that's like this. Check out the review on it. It is the Glycine vacuum watch. It has that same kind of, I don't know, champagne gold, faded gold color to it, which is just fantastic, especially for a vintage styled watch. That's actually a vintage watch from the 1960s. This one is obviously an homage watch, but it's a vintage styled watch. Just execution is great. Now the handset, I love the handset. The finishing on there is just straight black, and it really contrasts well. So legibility wise, it's great. The second hand for the chronograph is this nice, elegant, thin, easy to see, but at the same time, it doesn't get in the way of the hour hand or the minute hand. When it's traveling around, you can distinguish the 3 hands very easily. The hands and the subdials are great. You get that high contrast in the subdials with a very just plain black. So moving away from that into the sapphire crystal, you've got a sapphire crystal, 50 meters of water resistance. It's a push-pull crown. Let's talk about the crown for a second, because the size of the crown is great. I love the size of the crown. The texturing on it, though, it's a little bit slippery. I wish it was a little bit more aggressive so that you could actually get a good purchase on the crown itself. But it looks great. It's an onion-styled crown, and it's a little slick, polished. I get it. It's part of the aesthetic. All right, that's fine. The pushers for the chronograph are great. Typical 1901 type pushers. You get a nice positive click on the start-stop. The reset at the 4 o'clock. That tends to be just kind of a surprise, like, oh, it just reset. Okay, it flies back. It does a great job. Now, what about the movement? The movement in here, I want to talk about the movement. It is under 7 seconds off per day. This is the second ST1901, 1903 movement I've gotten where it's under 7 seconds a day, which is phenomenal. And I dropped this watch once onto a desktop, so it dropped probably 10 inches, 12 inches, no change. I put it right on the time grapher, no change whatsoever. I'll check it again here in a couple of weeks just to make sure, but I am really impressed with the accuracy of this watch. Now the case finishing on this is polished all the way around. It has a little bit of a step to it going up to the crystal from the side case, the mid case, which is fine. You've got the 2 pushers and the crown on the 3 o'clock side. On the 9 o'clock side, you have the recessed pushers for the date and for the lunar complication, the moon complication. So to do this, you need to pull the crown out to the set position, the first position, so that you can set the date and the lunar position as well. It's just the easiest way to do it that I found, and it works great. Now, I believe the lunar complication is based off of a 31-day calendar to make that kind of easy. That's what I've heard. So I'm not certain that this is a 28-day lunar cycle type complication. So I'm just going to assume that it's based off of a calendar, which is really close. And again, I don't wear these watches. I don't wear this watch or watches in general for, weeks at a time. So I'm not going to really notice that because I always come back to run down, wind them up, reset everything, and then we're good to go. So for me, it just doesn't really matter that much. You have a screw down case back, which is a display case back, and you can check out that 1903 movement. It's really identical to the 1901, but it has a date complication and the lunar complication as well in there. So really like that. I think it does just a great job of just showcasing just a great complication. I love the ST 1901 and the 1903 complications. It's just fascinating to look at. So the case itself, high polish, it's really classy looking, early 20th century feel to it. The leather strap, I think, lends to it. It's a secondary market leather strap, so this is an add-on to this. But I did have to go with a brushed pin and buckle. That's kind of the concession. But this is on the underside when I'm wearing it, so really people don't even notice that. Overall, I love the crystal. I love the clarity of everything, the shine on this. It really points towards a more formal watch. Definitely something that you can wear semi-formal and formal. And I think this strap actually does a great job with that. It has the colors that kind of complement that champagne gold dial in the center. All right. So now what about legibility? Legibility is fantastic. When you look at this watch, it's really easy to see the time. It's really easy to see the subdials. This might be the easiest chronograph that I have that I can read based off of the contrast between the hands and the dial. Just really well done. And they're not too wide. They're not too slender. Even the chronograph second hand as it's going around, it's easily distinguished from the other two hands. So to me, the legibility of this watch is off the charts great. Again, water resistance 50 meters. What are the pros to this watch? Just a classy looking watch. I just love the look of it. I love the way that they've put it all together. I love the texturing in the dial. The handset's great. The case design is awesome. Polish all the way around. You've got that classy look. We got the onion crown. 1901 movement, which is just great to look at. When you're looking at this watch, it's just fun to watch all the moving parts. So many things I think to look at here. It's just great. What are the cons? It's the strap. And the strap was something I knew right away that I wasn't going to hang on to because I'm not a butterfly strap guy. I don't like them. So I'm not going to ding the watch because of that, because I was already set before I even bought it to not retain it. So that much I set out to do that on my own. So I'm not going to ding it for that. But I don't have any other cons to this. The accuracy is really good. It's a manual wind movement. What else is there? To me, this is the first 10 of the year of 2024. So kudos to Sugess for this watch. I think they did a really great job on the manufacturing, on all the assembly, just putting it all together. Again, I'm not a fan of the butterfly clasp, but that's just my choice. The rest of this it's just phenomenal. I love it. I just really enjoy this. Put in the comments down below what you think of this. I really like this watch. If you have chronographs that are like this is a chronograph that's going to stay in my collection. It's the first 10 out of 10 out of the year. So this is going to be in the end of the year 10 out of 10 review. And I wear this watch actually more than I thought I would wear it. And sometimes I would just wear it around the house kind of casually. And it's done a great job. I really like it. Accuracy is great. So there you go. That's the review. Check out the reviewed watches for sale on my website at realidealgear.com. And I've got some watches there for sale. If you're interested, that'd be a great place to pick those up. So that's all I've got for this one. My name's Tim. This has been another Real Ideal Gear review. We'll catch you guys next time.